Hi everyone, I'm Terese Genecco for NightlifeExchange.com, where it's all about entertainment. I think you can feel the excitement mounting in the room. It's opening night. These two sitting with me today are about to debut a brand new show, and it's also a historic occasion because of the gentleman sitting on my left, who has not been performing in New York City for, several decades, I think. So this marks a really wonderful return to a wonderful artist, and we can credit this young lady for bringing him back to the scene. So I'm here with the wonderful Shaynee Rainbolt and the marvelous Donn Trenner. So I want to talk to you about your opening night and the show that you've put together called Two for the Road. Shaynee, can you tell us how, first of all, you and Donn came to be a duo, and then how you came up with this show?
Sure. Well, actually, it started in San Francisco about 10 years ago when I was playing the Plush Room. And it turns out that Donn spent a big part of his career working and touring with Shirley MacLaine. And when he worked with Shirley, he had his favorite drummer, Tommy Duckworth, as you like to call him.
The duck.
On those gigs with him. And I was lucky enough to have Tom with me in San Francisco on that Plush Room gig. So when Donn came to town, Tom invited him to the show, and afterwards, a really exciting thing happened. We found out that Donn actually had a connection to my family because he worked with my father, who was a television director in Los Angeles, and he also knew my mother quite well. So it was a wonderful kind of reunion. My mom was there. It was very emotional. They had lost touch after all those years, and that sort of started our friendship.
Right.
And then fast forward all these years, we've stayed in contact, but we really reconnected when we lost my mom about a year and a half ago. And at that point, he was generous enough to invite me up to Connecticut to sing with the Hartford Jazz Orchestra that he took over from Chick Cicchetti years ago and runs, and they're fantastic. And I just got up my nerve to ask him if he'd make music with me.
That's great. Well, and that's no small feat. Not that you're not an accomplished musician and vocalist already. Shaynee's won several MAC Awards and a Bistro Award this year. And
sweet. But still, I'm not Lena Horne and Anne Margaret and Shirley MacLaine and Nancy Wilson.
Of course.
Anita O'Day.
I didn't know that.
But you know, these guys need jobs too. As a working musician your whole life, Donn Trenner is also an Emmy-nominated musical director. He was with the Steve Allen Show for years, with all of those people that Shaynee just mentioned as a musical director. What did it feel like to you to be approached by a person who you're comfortable with as a friend and family kind of bond to, now be a professional collaborator with her?
Comfort is the best thing you can do in anything in your life, and when you're comfortable musically with someone, why not stay there?
Perfect. Well, and did you start this show out thinking we're going to put on a show, or how did this musical collaboration develop?
Just a collaboration, just let's see what we do with each other,
What goes on up in Connecticut?
What happens in Connecticut stays in Connecticut.
That's a good thing. That's a good
Right
thing.
after this interview, I'll give you more information.
Okay. All right, well, and people can come down to the Metropolitan Room, which is where the show is debuting tonight, and it's every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. during the month of September. So that's tonight the 7th, then the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. And I assume that there will be, in addition to beautiful music, some stories from both of your lives and careers in the music industry.
Well, you can't shut me up typically, but
I will.
but he's got a couple of things to say.
Well, Donn, can you tell us one of your favorite stories? I know you worked with Bob Hope for a long time, and you were on the road.
Right.
Can you share? Don't give the show away, but can you share just a little tidbit of what it was like to be with Bob Hope on the road?
It was an incredible man. A lot of people didn't understand, because he was like a file cabinet. You say baseball, he had 4,000 baseball jokes, And I remember once he called me and he said, "I've got to do a show in in Boise, Idaho, for some hospital." He said, "Would you like to go with me?" And I said, "Sure, I'll go." So we got in a private plane and flew up, did the show, which I can't remember. But after the show, he called me and he said, "How would you like to take a little walk? It's kind of late." I said, "Sure." So we got up and walked, and there was no one on the streets at all. we came across a building that had a little green globe hanging out in front of it, and it said police. I said, let's go in and say hello to those guys. I'm sure they had to change their underwear.
Sure. In walks Bob Hope to the precinct.
Yeah, but that's an idea of, he was a very gracious guy.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Must have been a great friendship.
It was wonderful. I traveled all over the world. I did those Christmas shows with him, which it's a remarkable thing to see a man of that stature entertain as many as 5,000 or 7,000 GIs sitting in the snow in the middle of Vietnam or wherever, because we did all those Christmas shows.
Yeah, wow.
It was great.
Well, wonderful. You'll hear more from Donn, and the music that they have come up with together is really organic and has grown out of their collaboration together. And there's some new tunes in the show that you'll never have heard before, and some great classics and standards. And Donn will be at the piano. His artistry is magical. And Shaynee will be singing. So please go to see Two for the Road at the Metropolitan Room every Friday in September. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And I'm Terese Genecco for NightlifeExchange.com, where it's all about entertainment.